figures. And in the first 3 lines and the 5th, the only ones with which we have to do at present, for the 4th seems to present an entirely different character, not one of those figures is higher than the number 5. There is therefore a great chance that each of these figures represents one of the 5 vowels, taken in alphabetical order. Let us put down the result. He wrote on a separate piece of paper, E.A.A.E.E.A.A.A. .E.E.E.E.E.E.E.E.E.E.E.E.E.E.E. AI.EU.E. Then he continued, "As you see, this does not give us much to go upon. The key is at the same time very easy, because the inventor has contented himself with replacing the vowels by figures and the consonants by dots, and very difficult if not impossible, because he has taken no further trouble to complicate the problem. It is certainly pretty obscure. Let us try to throw some light upon it. The second line is divided into 2 parts, and the second part appears in such a way that it probably forms one word. If we now seek to replace the intermediary dots by consonants, we arrive at the conclusion. After searching and casting about that the only consonants which are logically able to support the vowels are also logically able to produce only one word, the word demoiselle. That would refer to Mademoiselle de Gesvres and Mademoiselle de Saint Véran? Undoubtedly. And do you see nothing more? Yes, I also note a hiatus in the middle of the last line. And if I apply a similar operation to the beginning of the line, I at once see that the only consonant able to take the place of the dot between the diphthongs FAI and UI is the letter G, and that when I have thus formed the first 5 letters of the word, AIGUI, it is natural and inevitable that, with the next 2 dots and the final E, I should arrive at the word aiguille. Yes, the word aiguille forces itself upon us. Finally, for the last word, I have 3 vowels and 3 consonants. I cast about again. I try all the letters, one after the other, and starting with the principle that the 2 first letters are necessary consonants, I find that the 3 words apply. F'euve, preuve, and creuse. I eliminate the words f'euve and preuve as possessing no possible relation to a needle, and I keep the word creuse. Making hollow needle, by Jove! I admit that your solution is correct, because it needs must be. But how does it help us? Not at all, said Beautrelet in a thoughtful tone. Not at all for the moment. Later on, we shall see. I have an idea that a number of things are included in the puzzling conjunction of those 2 words, aiguille, creuse. What is troubling me at present is rather the material on which the document is written, the paper employed. Do they still manufacture this sort of rather coarse-grained parchment? And then this ivory colour, and those folds, the wear of those folds. And lastly, look, those marks of a red sealing-wax on the back. At that moment, Beautrelet was interrupted by Prédoux, the magistrate's clerk, who opened the door and announced the unexpected arrival of the chief public prosecutor. Monsieur Filleul rose. Anything new? Is Monsieur le Procureur General downstairs? No, Monsieur le Juge d'Instruction. Monsieur le Procureur General has not left his carriage. He is only passing through Ambrumésy, and begs you to be good enough to go down to him at the gate. He only has a word to say to you. That's curious, muttered Monsieur Filleul. However, we shall see. Excuse me, Beautrelet, I shan't be long. He went away. His footsteps sounded outside. Then the clerk closed the door and turned the key and put it in his pocket. Hullo! exclaimed Beautrelet, greatly surprised. What are you locking us in for? We shall be able to talk so much better, retorted Prédoux. Beautrelet rushed towards another door which led to the next room. He had understood. The accomplice was Prédoux, the clerk of the examining magistrate himself. Prédoux grinned. Don't hurt your fingers, my young friend. I have the key of that door too. There's the window, cried Beautrelet. Too late, said Prédoux, planting himself in front of the casement, revolver in hand. Every chance of retreat was cut off. There was nothing more for Isidore to do, Nothing except to defend himself against the enemy who was revealing himself with such brutal daring. He crossed his arms. "Good," mumbled the clerk. "And now let us waste no time." He took out his watch. "Our worthy Monsieur Filleul will walk down to the gate. At the gate he will find nobody, of course. No more public prosecutor than my eye. Then he will come back. That gives us about 4 minutes. It will take me 1 minute to escape by this window, clear through the little door by the ruins, and jump on the motorcycle waiting for me. That leaves 3 minutes, which is just enough." Brédoux was a queer sort of misshapen creature, who balanced on a pair of very long spindle legs a huge trunk, as round as the body of a spider, and furnished with immense arms. A bony face and a low, small, stubborn forehead pointed to the man's narrow obstinacy. Beautrelet felt a weakness in his legs and staggered. He had to sit down. "Speak," he said. "What do you want?" "The paper. I've been looking for it for 3 days." "I haven't got it." "You're lying. I saw you put it back in your pocketbook when I came in." "Next." "Next, you must undertake to keep quite quiet. You're annoying us. Leave us alone and mind your own business. Our patience is at an end." He had come nearer, with the revolver still aimed at the young man's head, and spoke in a hollow voice, with a powerful stress on each syllable that he uttered. His eyes were hard, his smile cruel. Beautrelet gave a shudder. It was the first time that he was experiencing the sense of danger. And such danger! He felt himself in the presence of an implacable enemy, endowed with blind and irresistible strength. "And next?" he asked, with less assurance in his voice. "Next, nothing. You will be free. We will forget." There was a pause, then Brédoux resumed. "There is only a minute left. You must make up your mind. Come, old chap, don't be a fool. We are the stronger, you know, always and everywhere. Quick, the paper." Isidore did not flinch. With a livid and terrified face, he remained master of himself, nevertheless, and his brain remained clear amid the breakdown of his nerves. The little black hole of the revolver was pointing 6 inches from his eyes. The finger was bent and obviously pressing on the trigger. It only wanted a moment. "The paper," repeated Brédoux. "If not—" "Here it is," said Beautrelet. He took out his pocketbook and handed it to the clerk, who seized it eagerly. "Capital! We've come to our senses. I've no doubt there's something to be done with you. You're troublesome, but full of common sense. I'll talk about it to my pals. And now I'm off. Good-bye." He pocketed his revolver and turned back to the fastening of the window. There was a noise in the passage. "Good-bye," he said. "I'm only just in time." But the idea stopped him. With a quick movement, he examined the pocketbook. "Damn and blast it!" he grated through his teeth. "The paper's not there! You've done me!" He leapt into the room. 2 shots rang out. Isidore, in his turn, had seized the pistol and fired. "Missed, old chap!" shouted Brédoux. "Your hand's shaking. You're afraid." They caught each other round the body and came down to the floor together. There was a violent and incessant knocking at the door. Isidore's strength gave way, and he was at once overcome by his adversary. It was the end. A hand was lifted over him, armed with a knife, and fell. A fierce pain burst into his shoulder. He let go. He had an impression of someone fumbling on the inside pocket of his jacket and taking the paper from it. Then, through the lowered veil of his eyelids, he half saw the man stepping over the window-sill. The same newspapers which, on the following morning, related the last episodes that had occurred at the Château Ambrumésy, the trickery at the chapel, the discovery of Arsene Lupin's body and of Raymonde's body, and lastly the murderous attempt made upon Beautrelet by the clerk to the examining magistrate, also announced 2 further pieces of news: the disappearance of Ganimard and the kidnapping of Holmlock Shears in broad daylight in the heart of London, at the moment when he was about to take the train for Dover. Lupin's gang, therefore, which had been disorganized for a moment by the extraordinary ingenuity of a 17-year-old schoolboy, was now resuming the offensive and was winning all along the line from the first. Lupin's 2 great adversaries, Shears and Ganimard, were put away. Isidore Beautrelet was disabled. The police were powerless. For the moment, there was no one left capable of struggling against such enemies. End of chapter 3.